Hello, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Douglas Johnson, and I am a yoga teacher at the advanced 500-hour level. I'm also a kirtan artist and musician. And today I wanted to talk a little yoga vocabulary with you. Wanted to talk about the term Purusha. Before I get into the talk, however, I do want to thank the community that makes these talks possible without a paywall, and those are my patrons over on Patreon. So if you'd like to help support the creation of this content and others who'd like to learn about yoga, please check out the links below. Okay, Purusha. So again, I'm using Nikolai Bachmann's home study course as the outline for these talks. And the third term is Purusha. So what is a Purusha? Well, Nikolai Bachmann translates it as pure light of awareness. You could say this is what we really want to discover with our yoga practice. Now, again, I do want to be clear that that term yoga these days is very much associated in much of the world with a sort of system of exercise, if you will, and yoga is much more than that. So when I say your yoga practice is ultimately supposed to lead to an awareness of this, I don't mean that just doing postural yoga, going to yoga classes is going to lead to this. It most likely won't. I almost want to say I guarantee it won't. I don't want to go quite that far, but the yoga classes that we do in modern yoga studios, it really wasn't meant to be a standalone system for realizing what the ultimate goal of yoga is, at least as it's outlined in the Yoga Sutras. So Purusha is the term that Nikolai Bachmann uses, but the word that's actually used in Yoga Sutras is drashtu. Drashtu is from the yogic root drish, I believe it is, and it means to see. So a drashtu is a seer, a witness. And this is a term that comes up a lot in various yogic and non-dual teachings. The witness, the seer, this is something that we are trying to cultivate. So the pure light of awareness, we could say it goes a step beyond just witness. Again, it depends on the system and the teacher that you're studying with, how much they differentiate the terms. But let's just stick with pure light of awareness. Pure light of awareness is pure awareness. And in a lot of non-dual teachings, this is described as like I am. Okay, I am predates anything else. So I am a man, I am a woman, right? We could, in a sense, insert anything after I am. But first, there has to be that beingness, the I amness. And so, at least the way Nikolai Bachmann is presenting this by calling it Purusha, is this is the I am. This is the pure light of awareness. So in the last talk, we talked about chitta, which is our sort of personal consciousness, the heart-mind space. And you could say in yoga, what we're trying to do is calm down the heart-mind to get them quiet, harmonized, peaceful, calm, still. Some teachers will tell you that you need to create a sort of one-pointed focus. So it's like absolute stillness or emptiness. This hasn't been my experience or the experience of the teachers that I study with. Generally, it's more of a calming down, that when the heart and mind space is calm through various techniques, again, it can be yoga postures, meditation, yoga nidra, But when this space gets calmed down, then it's easier to be aware of the pure light of awareness. The pure light of awareness, you could say, is watching or seeing through the heart-mind. So if the heart-mind, right, the chitta, a word he hasn't drawn out, at least not yet, is vrittis. Vrittis means movement. So if the movement of the heart-mind is a lot, then it's like you can't see through it, or it's very distracting, right? But it's said that in some traditions, they say that when the heart-mind becomes quiet, becomes still, it's like water. So instead of seeing all these waves on the water, right? When water becomes perfectly still, it's mirror-like. You can look in the water and you can see the sun or you can see the moon reflected in the water perfectly. But if the water is really active, there are lots of waves, then you look in, while you might see some light reflected, it's going to be broken up in little pieces, right? Whether it's moonlight or sunlight, doesn't really matter. You're going to see like all these dancing lights. So what the Yoga Sutras is telling us is that our mind is much the same way. When our heart-mind is stirred up, when it's disturbed, then we do not see reality as it is. We do not see our true nature, our drashtu, our Purusha. Instead, we focus on the chitta-vrittis, and life seems hard, and it seems like that's all that there is. But if we're using yoga in the right way, then we get to a point where we start to notice that there's more going on here. So another thing I want to point out or mention is that there's another term, the term Purusha, which Nikolai Bachman chooses to sort of stand in for drashtu. Purusha is a Sankhya term, Sankhya philosophy. And my understanding is there's two types of Sankhya philosophy. There is what we might call traditional or standard Sankhya. And then there is what my teacher, Paul Grilly, called Yoga Sankhya or Sankhya Yoga. And this is Sankhya philosophy, but with a concept, Ishvara, added in. And we'll get to Ishvara later. But it's not quite exactly Sankhya. So it's Sankhya with a little bit of a change, a little bit of a difference there. And in Sankhya philosophy, the major principle is the Purusha, which we've talked about, pure light of awareness, and then Prakriti, which is, we could call that the material world. So the idea is that these two have sort of separated. And what we want with yoga is to reunite them, return them so that they are not separate anymore. All right, everyone, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out. And until next time, namaste. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.